In January 2013, Julie Burkhart was camped out at the site of George Tiller's shuttered clinic, surrounded by contractors and a crew of lawyers and activists intent on bringing abortion access back to Wichita. Now, 6 years later, they've accomplished that, and then some. When she set out to reopen it, Julie Burkhart was not sure anyone would want to come to this clinic again. The place that for decades had been the epicenter of America's often violent abortion wars. But like George Tiller had always said, women need abortions, and people did come to the clinic. In fact, so many people came that 3 years after she got Dr. Tiller's clinic back up and running again in Wichita, Julie opened another clinic 3 hours south in Oklahoma City. It was a fight to get each clinic open. Most days, Julie says, it still feels like a fight to keep them open.
Between these two states, we have things coming at us all the time, whether it's protesters, what the state legislatures want to do, what we have going on, running through the judiciary. There might be patient issues, funding issues, physician recruitment issues. People still don't want to necessarily come to Wichita. People still, 10 years after Dr. Tiller's assassination, still view Wichita as being this very violent, volatile community. And I get that, but it makes it difficult for us in terms of recruiting doctors. I still don't have any physicians who live in Wichita or live in Oklahoma City. So all these years later, we still fly people in.
All these years later, we still fly people in. She has to fly doctors in to Wichita and Oklahoma City every week to see patients. Angela Marchin is one of those doctors.
I'm from the Midwest, so I had thoughts of moving back to the Midwest. I don't feel that it's safe for me to go to live in a place where I would constantly be under threat of violence or harm.
So you wouldn't feel safe living in Wichita and working here?
No.
This setup where clinics do not have in-town doctors, this is very common in the states where abortion access is already most vulnerable. In at least half a dozen Republican-led states where there are very few or even just one remaining clinic, the atmosphere is seen as so hostile to abortion providers that clinics are not able to find any local doctors who will do the job. Just like Julie is doing, they fly doctors in from other states. And that makes those clinics even more vulnerable to getting shut down by the very creative and aggressive anti-abortion forces working out of various Republican-controlled state legislatures. There's a whole class of laws known as TRAP laws, T-R-A-P, Targeted Regulations Against Abortion Providers. These TRAP laws are basically increasingly baroque, deliberately onerous regulations that are designed for one purpose: to shut down abortion clinics, because clinics aren't supposed to be able to comply with these requirements. One of the more in-fashion TRAP laws of the past several years is a rule requiring abortion doctors to have admitting privileges at a nearby hospital wherever they're practicing. There's no medical reason for this. Abortion is a relatively safe, low-risk procedure that in most cases can be done in a doctor's office. Complications that require hospitalization are very rare. And even in those very rare cases, the doctor who performs the procedure doesn't need admitting privileges to send a patient to the hospital. In a place like Wichita or Oklahoma City, where the doctors do not live in the states where they do abortions, it's impossible for them to get admitting privileges at a local hospital. But that's, of course, the point. The point is not that doctors should be able to get those privileges. The point of these laws is that doctors won't get them. And so that can be used as an excuse to legally ban that doctor from performing abortions or to shut down the clinics where they would have done so. We've seen this play out. In Texas in 2013, the Republican state government there passed an admitting privileges TRAP law. As a result, half the clinics in that state were forced to shut down. 3 years later, the Supreme Court threw out that TRAP law in Texas in a 5-3 decision. They ruled that it did nothing to protect women's health, but it did put a substantial burden on women's ability to access abortion, so that law was overturned. Since then, though, President Trump has made 2 new appointments to the U.S. Supreme Court. And now there's a big flashing red light warning sign that the new conservative majority Supreme Court wants to take another look at this particular brand of trap law. The court has now taken up a virtually identical trap law to the Texas one they threw out. This one's from Louisiana. The case is set to be decided by the Supreme Court in June. The expectation is that this newly constituted court will change course on that trap law. The expectation is that they're going to say that trap law is okay now, even if the result is the immediate wholesale shutdown of clinics. So when Julie Burkhart says she feels like there's opposition coming at her all the time, this is part of what she means. First, anti-abortion threats and terrorism and violence have made her city an unsafe place for local doctors to practice abortion. So her workaround is flying doctors in from out of state. But now the new conservative majority on the Supreme Court looks poised to use that very fact that she can't get local doctors at her clinics as a reason to shut her down, to end abortion in Wichita again. More ahead tonight in this special report. Stay with us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.